let's start off with other news before we get to the college football playoff and all of those things. We're gonna start off with the Heisman Trophy finalists and Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater has been a callback for us. We have kept tabs on him ever since he retired. Teddy has he decided after having so many concussions, having so many injuries, that it was time for him to hang it up and move on. So as he does, he has now become the head coach at his alma mater, which is Miami Northwestern, Florida, Miami Northwestern High School in Florida. He has led them to the state championship in the first year as a head coach.
Yes, this is after they had the first losing season they've had in a decade. They only lost 2 games. They lost 1 game to number 4 Venice in August. Then they also lost to Miami Norland in September. They are on a 9-game winning streak right now with margins of 69, 52, 48, and 40. They're destroying people. And the championship is against Jacksonville Reigns, who's also 15-0. And they have, this is a name that many of you are familiar with, LSU signee Solomon Thomas. And this should be surely a good game. Now, they say that Northwestern is favored by 18 points.
Solomon Thomas.
You got to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we're big Teddy fans. I would love to see them win a national championship. And just, he's fought against so much adversity during his time playing playing pro football, that I would love to see him come get a championship and just be a legendary coach. And I was going to say, like, if he coaches as well, for 4 or 5 years, just he stay there. But I forgot, he's already infinitely rich at this point. So for him, this is more of a passion project. But Teddy could also be a good coach. He could just be a good coach.
Bethune Cookman. Y'all schools down there, keep your eye. HBCUs. First off, shout out to Teddy, because I don't want to bury the lead. I have a tendency to bury the lead with my own thoughts. Teddy is a young coach who is passionate about the game, passionate about his community, and has the pipeline there. He's going to get everybody from Miami Northwestern. And one thing you're starting to see about this generation of players is with the NIL, with the transfer portal and everything, they follow the coach. They don't follow the school anymore. So if he can get that going, especially Florida International, if Willie Simmons ends up being as good as we think he is and he goes somewhere, Miami Northwestern ain't far from Florida International. Miami ain't but so big now. So
Florida International, Florida Atlantic, UCF, USF, hell, FSU, UF. Y'all all the coaches. I don't think at this point y'all can look any gift horse in the mouth. So I'm just happy for this guy, man. He's just a guy that you can't help but like. And liking him is the easy part. To see him be successful is really, for me, gratifying.
It is 100%. 100%. So shout out to
and
Teddy,
especially bringing them back from a losing season after they hadn't had a losing season in a decade.
Yeah, they were good.
Alma mater. That's one of those things that means just the world to a person.
Yep. With that being said, we're gonna move on. Heisman Trophy finalists have been named: Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, Travis Hunter from Colorado, Ashton Jeanty from Boise State, and Cam Ward from Miami were named finalists. What's the dude's name for Arizona State? Scooter Kobe?
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
He's not a finalist, even though he says he's the best back in the league.
He's wrong. And I don't have any issues with the infinite confidence.
Cam Scatterboo.
Skedaddle, whatever you want to call yourself, my boy, you're not better than Ashton Jeanty. And not only do none of us believe you, but there will be a draft. and teams will quantify
and none of
your
them
value.
will believe you.
Yes, and those guys are not going to draft you before they draft Ashton Genty. Now, you did have a good season, and I appreciate the confidence, but you need to be realistic with your station in life.
Not your station. That's such a disrespectful talk. But you're right.
If the truth is disrespectful, then that's a personal problem.
Dylan Gabriel, I think he's there. First off, I think the winner is Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel faded, which is wild crazy to me because this has always been, for the majority of it, a quarterback trophy, especially with the way the rules are now, where you can't really hit nobody. Quarterbacks flourish. It just goes to show what Ashton Genty and Travis Hunter have done. I probably am going with
undefeated.
Yeah, but he's also, you don't see too many 24, 25-year-old guys winning Heisman. There's only Chris Winkie? Chris Winkie was the only one. He was 30. So outside of that, you're not going to see many guys stay and play. Like Cam Rising could have a crazy year next year if he decides to come back and he won't make the Heisman. Even if he's undefeated, he goes to Oregon and becomes the quarterback and is undefeated and has all and whatever, he's not going to win it.
I mean, he'd have been in there 100 years and he get hurt every year. As much as I want to support him and I like Cam Rising, bro, you got soft bones.
Dylan Gabriel's already 24. So I mean, that's 6 years. Cam's gonna be 25, 26, so that's 8 years. I mean, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's gonna win. Cam Ward, you finished bad. You had a chance. You are not gonna win because you are representative of Miami, and Miami did exactly what folks thought they were gonna do. They faded away.
Did Miami do it, or did Miami's defense just never do it? I hate to say it, I think he's just a victim of a terrible defense.
Yeah, but you can't be up 30 points and lose. Not as the offense. Even if the defense gives up 30, if you up 30, you should win. You should do something. It's on you.
You know how I feel about stuff like that. That takes me back. That just triggers me to 28-3. I'm a person who played offense. I didn't ever really like defense. If we get up by 30, you got to handle them people to the end of the game, bro. You got to do that. And I mean, I know it doesn't work that way, but I will always just forever feel like, bro, if the offense got up by 30, all you got to do is maintain this thing on the way out. And if you can't do that, don't look at me. Because I've been doing this every week. I go put up 40 points, and y'all give up 39. Am I wrong?
Nah. Who you taking? Travis Hunter, Ashton Genty, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward.
I don't have a really good answer. Guys on the end, they could have just cut this graphic down. Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward, y'all are only going for the trip and all the other stuff. Now,
y'all about to go have an expensive expensive photo shoot.
Well, the other part that I like about this is, well, Cam, this is not as much for you. You're going to be drafted pretty high. But quietly, Dylan Gabriel, he's a guy
who can make a lot of money.
You could make some money. And I think that there's also value in slipping to a team that's good. You might get a chance to actually develop. That quarterback development is infinitely, more valuable than I think ever before because of the way that they're coached now. It's everything programmed, not truly like player development. So I think that, there got to be some teams that have quarterbacks that are getting a little long in the tooth. I think that the Rams, that might be another. I mean, I don't think that your boy is going to make it rock steady. I don't think that he's their future solution. Who else is an old quarterback? That's probably about to get out of there the next few years. But yeah, there are some. Oh, the Saints. I know they got Spencer Rattler, but I mean, I don't think you can have too many backs.
Yeah. Dylan Gabriel is he's a stopback quarterback to me. Like I don't know if he's gonna be good in the pros because he's Tua light. Like he's Tua. He's small. Dylan,
But have you seen what Tua has done for the last 11 games? Like 13
but
touchdowns, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions.
he's not as good as Tua. He's not as good as Tua. So you have the Tua archetype when it comes to the quarterback that he resembles in terms of build, but he doesn't have the frame. He doesn't have the accuracy or the anticipation. Now, I say that, but he also broke the record for like all-time passing yards. So in the NCAA.
Correct.
Because he started out at Hawaii, and then he went to other places, Oklahoma, Central Florida, and he's at Oregon. So I mean,
he's definitely a college football journeyman, which is crazy, but it's life now.
Yeah. So I mean,
life now.
So I mean, it's cool.
It's Travis or Ashton. It really just which one tickles your fancy more. Do you like Travis Hunter and the ability to be an elite wide receiver and an elite defensive back, or do you want to take Ashton Jeanty, who is just putting up video game numbers consistently? Now, I don't think you could. I'm happy that no quarterback's winning this year because you got to make it relevant to more than just because there's also a quarterback award. So don't make all of these awards just for the quarterback. I hate that the year that it's not a quarterback, it's somebody's going to just be shafted. Terrible.
Yeah, it's two people.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know who. If Ashton Jeanty doesn't win a Heisman Trophy, that's a travesty. If Travis Hunter doesn't win a Heisman, also a travesty. But I don't think that those two players should share it because the quarterbacks always win outright.
And to that point, when it comes to since quarterbacks have always won, the next type of player that normally wins is the running back. The running back is super devalued. So if the running back is super devalued, this is a way for them to get put back on. But now DBs, two-way players, don't exist anymore. Players are now taught from birth. You're either a receiver or a cornerback or tackle. Specialization training. So when you have all of those things, it's really, really difficult to then go and say, okay, this two-way player that is doing things that we've never seen, including with Charles Woodson and all of those back in the day, playing 200 plus, top player, one of the top DBs in the nation, even though y'all said he's not. I think he definitely has more interceptions than the finalists for the Thorpe Award. So when you have all these things, and he's a top receiver, like it's kind of hard to keep him away.
You sold me, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because we've seen a lot of great running backs. Mm-hmm. This is the single greatest two-way player to ever play college football. That's the answer.
But they don't like him.
He is the single greatest two-way player to ever play football.
Mm-hmm. First time.
I mean, as good as Charles Woodson was, he wasn't this. He wasn't Michigan's number one wide receiver.
Nope. He wasn't. But again,
give it to him, man. Give it to him.
Give it to Travis. I'm picking Travis.
Give it to him.
I'm picking Travis for sure. Man, my headphones.
And the other part about it is that's good for Deion, and Deion is better for college football than whoever is coaching Boise State. I hate to sometimes have to put it to, because they were talking about meritocracy versus brandocracy. That's what this is. This is just better branding. You want to see Deion at the Heisman Trophy. You everything about that, you get more views with Deion than without. So yeah, Travis is the answer. If you don't like it, I'm sure you know where you can get a fresh Spirit flight.
Yeah, 100%. I'm trying to plug in my other headphones because these ones about to die. But yeah, so I'm taking Travis Hunter here. The next answer is, I do want to say Travis Hunter also I think he won the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, which is kind of crazy. Because the only reason that he won't win Offensive Player of the Year is because of Shadeur, I believe. So
that's fine. But I like we talked about last week, is he Big 12 Player of the Year? He's probably gonna win the Heisman, and y'all leaving him out of the Thorpe is egregious.
Insane. I still don't get it.
And on top of that, he did that and then was their offensive. He was their best wide receiver. All the rest of the defensive backs was taking a breather. That to me, just everything says pick this guy. Travis, it is.
Travis Hunter?
Which means they're going to pick Ashton Genty, yeah.
I was about to say that. Did you want to wager that, or are you good?
I mean, what you want to bet?
I don't know. You'll take Travis?
Yep.
I mean, I was going to take Travis too, so it's kind of hard to not.
It just makes the most sense to me. I think that's the right answer. And just as good as Genty is, we've seen something like that or something similar before. We've never seen Travis before, and don't know that we will ever see another one. But yeah, that is what gives me my. You got to think these things out, which clearly these committees don't do in the first place, because we're going to talk about this and how the seating went. But
shout out to Shadeur. He got the Johnny Unitas Award, Golden Arm Award as the nation's top upperclassman quarterback. He deserves it. They showed his stats compared to everybody else. His efficiency is his greatest attribute. He is super efficient with the ball. Now, he does have some things to clean up, but we'll see what it is. But the way that he is efficient and he is accurate.
Yeah, as long as he can get to the pros. And now this is the thing. He does have like the personal relationship with Tom Brady. They have exchanged numbers and all of that. The one thing that Tom Brady did that really separated him from everybody was get the ball out fast. That is Shadeur, to me, greatest weakness. If you can figure that out, then you are in an upper echelon of elite football player. Like that can turn the corner from you being okay in the pros, because you can't take them sacks in the NFL.
And survive. You'll turn into Derek Carr real quick.
Or turn into Tua. Like, that's the other part. Shadeur, you're not.
That's not funny.
What you mean? It's factual. But yeah, he's not the biggest or strongest. So getting the ball out, number one, preserves possessions. I know you want to preserve percentages, but possessions matter more, and taking care of your body. Them dudes going to be trying to end you. You see what happened to Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, and he is the brand. He's the poster child of brand before. I'm gonna say before team, but he's the poster child of the new regime of football. Deion has made him the poster child of branding.
And I was like, this is obvious.
Nike has officially signed Colorado QB Shadeur Sanders. He's already. I mean, they already sponsor Colorado. They've re-released his father's shoes.
Yeah.
So this is official. But what I was saying was he represents the new regime of branding in football. His father has helped make him that, and that has been their recruiting pitch. So now, when you say they're gonna be trying to end you, they sure enough gonna be trying to end you, because they're gonna be jealous.
They're gonna be, I took out Deion's kid, but outside of that, it's also just, I mean, the whole Nike deal. Of course, my dad's sponsored by Nike. Like you said, they re-released my dad's shoe. It's a very popular shoe. Yeah, that's what it is. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna do that a lot. So that part, it kind of is what it is as far as that considered. Did you think that anybody other than maybe Jordan Brand had a shot? You thought he was gonna sign with Reebok or Adidas? You didn't even need to send over an offer.
No. No. This was as close to sponsoring somebody in college without sponsoring somebody in college as you could do. I'm sponsoring your father. I'm sponsoring your team. And you on the West Coast. Yeah. So shout out to Dion. While we're here, Dion was at an event in Las Vegas, and Shadeur has been not so quiet about wanting to be drafted by the Raiders in Las Vegas. Deion Sanders said to the Raiders' head coach Antonio Pierce, who was attending, "You are truly the best. Now I just need you to do one thing. I need you to draft those Sanders boys," which I said was an interesting choice of words, because Deion, we kept saying that Deion is going to take over Shadeur and Travis and not allow for them to be drafted where he doesn't want them to go. And I thought that was just because he didn't want to put him in a bad situation. I actually forgot all about Shiloh. This is a pure NBA move right here. If you want to sign me, you have to sign Thanasis. You have to sign somebody. You have to sign my brother.
Big baller brand, baby. LeVar Ball. All of these kids is getting out of my house and getting rich. So, and once again, I told y'all last year, and I still believe it now, I wouldn't mind Shiloh on the Falcons. I mean, we saw how D Alpha got beat this week. What's the dude name who got the podcast?
Yeah. No, it's not Wes Welker. It's Julian Edelman.
Julian Edelman, same person. But they were making jokes about Belichick coaching college football.
Is that what we're talking about?
As there's jokes, yes. As much as there are jokes, I think that there's a ton of truth in that. I don't understand how Bill Belichick is going to be a good college coach, especially in the time where you have to do more accommodating for players. You have to be nicer to players. I don't see Bill Belichick being, he wasn't nice to the arguably greatest football player of all time. So I can't imagine there's a world where he's going to be nice to a 16-year-old, 17-year-old that he's trying to recruit. Now, if you play defense, that's probably the place to go. But I can't imagine an offense, because we saw him be the general manager and coach of the New England Patriots, and the offense was terrible. I don't know what he does offensively in college.
So I missed what you said about Belichick. But I think I got the gist of it. This screams he's doing what Deion's doing for his sons. He's doing the same thing. So part of the stipulations for this, as I think we talked about, or you mentioned earlier, is that he's looking to lock in his son, Steven, as UNC's head coach in waiting, which means Belichick is basically going to be there for the allotted amount of time, which I believe won't be more than a year or two, because he's looking to go back to the pros, and Jacksonville's opening up. All of these other places are opening up, and he's trying to make sure that Steven has the
then I'm not doing that
inside track to be there, because if you remember, he made Steven the defensive coordinator or something there at New England towards the end of it, and he's really trying to get Steven in as there. So that's part of it, is making Steven the coach in waiting, and that's why they're in in negotiations.
What you cannot do is fire the greatest coach in your program because he's 76 and then go get a 72-year-old. If I'm Mac Brown, I will start a podcast and talk trash about you.
Make Skip Bayless your partner?
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, say what you want to about Mac Brown. He wasn't great, but he was also the greatest you've ever had. And then you go get Bill Belichick, who, this doesn't make sense. Bill Belichick's not going to sit in any kid's living room, and he's not going to be nice to them. And these kids are soft.
Well, he's part of the old regime, but he's one of the guys that won't change. I think what he's trying to bet upon is, this game has turned out to be really good. What he's trying to bet upon is that, and he said it on TV, he said, I'm going to build a pipeline to the pros through North Carolina, because I know exactly what it takes. I know exactly what it takes to get there, and I know exactly what it takes to win, to play winning football. His staff would include Matt Patricia, Ben McDaniels, who is the Texans passing game coordinator and brother of Josh McDaniels, who was a longtime offensive coordinator, as well as a sitting college GM who would handle all general operations as NIL, recruiting, etc., which I think Alabama was one of the first to do it, and now everybody else is doing it, putting in a GM. So he's basically building a pro football like atmosphere at
Do it, UNC.
UNC.
Do it. Just like, no, it's not going to do anything for you. I honestly think it's going to push you back. Belichick is just, it's oil and water. You're paying these kids a ton of money.
Jamar Chase.
These kids are going to get paid more than you. And if you're not nice to them or play them, they're going to leave. And we just saw 3 of your best players confirm this. They were joking, but they were dead ass serious too. You got to ask yourself, if he wasn't nice to Tom Brady, do you think he's going to be nice to me?
Now, I don't know what you're doing here, North Carolina. There's going to be so many other coaches, and I think this is the equivalent. Ooh, can't say that, but it's called being premature. This is when you fire too early, I guess is the nice way of saying it. You oh man, you have so many there's going to be so many offensive assistants that will be open. 2 of them I think are already linked to this job, and Georgia defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann, as well as the tight ends coach who has drafted the last 4 or recruited the last 4 tight ends from Georgia, including Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington. So in Todd Hartley,
I think Arthur Smith is a better fit at this job.
Arthur Smith is there. You're right. Arthur Smith is there. And Belichick isn't known to develop anything offensively. Everything offensively there has pretty much been in place. Name is
Tom Brady.
And he might be try to take credit for that. But I mean, to me, you can't name no other real wide receiver there.
The offense left. It was non-existent. And what do you think? Y'all gonna win 12-9 every week? Who do you think wants to see that?
Well, they're betting that they won't lose 70-50 to JMU either. That's
better to lose 70-50 than to lose 12-9 every game.
Not to JMU.
Okay, do it then. Do it.
But we'll see.
I love when people spend their money. Just like I was happy when the Jaguars signed Trevor Lawrence to that stupid contract, when the Giants paid Danny Dimes. UNC, do us all a favor. Me and Reggie are growing this podcast. We love to have things to talk about. Sign UNC. UNC sign Bill Belichick so me and Reggie can laugh every week.
Speaking of spending money, I guess you don't like Oklahoma State because they actually just didn't, or they spent money, but they reallocated money. We talked about it we didn't talk about it last week in depth, but I told y'all Mike Gundy in Oklahoma State. Actually, we did. Because I asked y'all last week, I said, hey, random thought. Is it time for Mike Gundy to be fired from Oklahoma State? He's been there for a long time. I think he may be one of the longest tenured current college football coaches in Power 5, if not the longest. He's been there forever. And I said, hey, they suck. I mean, they got beat 53-0 by Colorado on their last game. Mind you, their running back was a preseason Heisman candidate, and he is nowhere to be found. They are awful. Well, they answered our question. Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State reached an agreement on a restructured contract that will keep the Cowboys head coach there for multiple years. The reason it's restructured, and I see folks in the comments talking about this is his first losing season in 15 years. He's made bowl games every year, etc. It wasn't about the winning or losing. He, or Oklahoma State wanted to dedicate more money to the NIL fund. A way for them to dedicate more money to the NIL fund is to cut some of your money and dedicate it to the NIL fund.
Now, let me tell you something here. I want to get it straight. This is Jug season. And I want to tell you why. But this kind of reminds me of the Jill Scott conversation, which is a little bit off topic, where she says, you can only talk to me like that if you can talk to me like that. That's what I feel like about Mike Gundy right now. The only reason they could make you restructure is because they can make you restructure. But what I think this is a restructure before a cut. They had you give the money back first, then they're going to fire you. Now, they already talking about Zach Robinson, who's the Falcons offensive coordinator, is who they are interested in. I find that to be very interesting because I see the Falcons offense. But for me, I think that all of these moves are questionable, but I think they got him to give some of the money back. Now they're going to fire him. We got some of the money back, and now we can just make peace if he doesn't do good. And we can just be like, oh, he just doesn't have it anymore.
Well, let me tell you something. You can get Zach Robinson off our hands, big dog.
I am kind of upset that they Gundy
took him.
The Gundy
took him.
You could have had it.
We could have got the Texans passing game coordinator or something. Got somebody else.
Skoronski? I mean, not Skoronski.
Who we just talked about, McDaniel's brother.
Yeah.
We could have got him. So, but anyway, that's not even, he's known for his viral, I'm a man, talk to me, I'm 40. That's his viral moment. But the funniest hire to me and the funniest caption was Central Florida brings back Scott Frost, national championship winning coach Scott Frost. And you may be asking, dang, CeeDee Lamb was wide open. You may be asking, what national championship does UCF win? Did they win in baseball or golf or tennis? No, he's football national championship. If you remember in 2017, they did not make it into the playoff. And they said that they were acknowledged by their own alumni as national champions. So when they released this, they said Scott Frost was the head coach. They said he's back as the head coach of Central Florida.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not a national champion. The ring is fake, as the diamonds. Probably made out of fool's gold, and you look like fools.
You're dusty.
And now and your team is uneven. And now y'all gonna bring him back. Now I do think it's probably best for both of you guys, because don't forget he was getting torched at Nebraska.
Schmiggity schmoke.
And yep. I think that this is probably hey man, neither one of us can do any better. So let's just stick together. But if your coach can't do any better and the team can't do any better, then you need to have a realistic expectation of what you think this team is capable of. And now that undefeated ain't gonna work no more, because they're gonna stick you in that 12-man and let you get destroyed.
Molly Watt, plumber chick. It's gonna happen.
And we gonna laugh, and you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose.
It's gonna happen. Y'all gonna play Oregon, and they're gonna beat y'all.
Lost.
Well, yeah, Jamar. Well, I mean, they don't have Dak, but yeah, Jamar Chase at the end of the game did what Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase do. Moving on. Now, this is a great hire. Southern Miss hires Marshall's Charles Huff as its next football coach. Marshall just won their first Sun Belt championship win last night. So I think it's a great hire for Southern Miss. I don't necessarily understand it for Marshall.
I got it. There are a couple things here. So Marshall wanted to extend him, but they wanted to extend him and have a bunch of different ways to get him out of the contract. That's the reason he did. They tried to extend him last year. He bet on himself and said no. The other part about this is Marshall's only paying him like $800K. Southern Miss is gonna pay him like $1.4 million. He was vastly underpaid, and he won you a championship. So he's like, oh, well, yeah, I'll go to Southern Miss.
Which that's why it explains the lateral, because it's really just a lateral in terms of prestige.
Prestige. But going from $800K to $1.4 million ain't a lateral move.
No, but
for sure.
You going to, now, hey man, stay away from Brett Favre. Don't go down there at Southern Miss and be tripping.
But the other part is Coach Huff has been coaching his ass off.
Not saying he hasn't.
Got them to the championship. And if you really look at the trees that he's been under, all of the people that really matter, he's worked for. Remember, he was at Alabama with Saban.
Mm-hmm.
He was with Dan Mullen. He's been a bunch of different places. He's just, I hate to say it like this. I mean, honestly, he's from a HBCU and he's black.
Why do you hate to say
underpaid.
The truth? You hate to say the truth
because that's where all of this comes from. He's just underpaid. So he's going somewhere where he can secure a bag. And if he revamps his program, which I think that he will do, then at that point he'll be undeniable. It sucks that we have to take the longer road and be better, which is always what we understand. You gotta be twice as good.
Yeah.
But I do think that he is twice as good.
Yeah, he is. He's a great coach. School buyouts. This is a part of the NIL that I did not see coming. The NIL forces you to make decisions immediately from an administrative standpoint because you have to figure out a way to get players. If you can't get players there, players ain't gonna go play for a losing coach. I mean, look what happened with Texas A&M and how all of that happened. This year, with the season still going on now, there have already been, this graphic came out a week ago, but since then, there have already been almost $50 million in buyouts this season already for coaches because they're trying to get better coaches or upgrade their coaching staff or move on or et cetera.
West Virginia, what are you doing? Purdue. I mean, cool. Like, this is the thing. These 5 teams have bought themselves out of what? And bought themselves into what?
But I say, what are you going to get? Who are you going to get that's better?
Now, I will tell you, talk about a fall off. That boy, Tom Herman, he went from the hottest coach when he was at University of Houston to coaching University of Texas to getting bought out at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
That's how the mighty have fallen.
It is what it is, bro.
Might be time. Tom Herman, you'd have made enough money. It might be time you to just
peace
off into the sunset. Yeah.
Yeah.
You pull up Coach O. Go just lay it on down, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know who would be interested in having you as a coach now.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I personally don't care.
And the crazy part is he only 49 years old.
Yeah, he was young. He just had a 70-year-old haircut. But he been
5-game losing streak at Florida Atlantic. You got fired from Texas.
Well, and also he was coming after Lane Kiffin at Florida Atlantic, if I'm not mistaken. So he went from Florida Atlantic to Ole Miss, and Florida Atlantic was good when Lane Kiffin was there. Well, they were decent. They had a bad year, and then they were pretty good.
He went from Ohio State, all OC, quarterbacks coach. He was at Houston. I thought he was at Houston longer than 1 year. It was 15, 16. He was at Texas for 3 years, offensive analyst for Chicago, for the Bears for a year, and then Florida Atlantic. His overall record is still 60-36, and he's 5-0 in bowls. But hey, 6-16 at Florida Atlantic ain't gonna get it done. I guess he was 32-18 at Texas. That wasn't terrible.
Well, you kept losing to Oklahoma. You can't lose to your rival.
He was 22-4 at Houston. Honestly, Houston and Tom Herman, y'all should have stuck together.
Still can.
Y'all should have figured it out.
Well, UCF, double back.
Hey.
Double back.
Baby, I'm back. Baby, I'm begging. Baby, I'm begging. Let me back in the house, my mom.
Got that text yet?
Let me flip that for you, baby.
The next thing that caught me off guard, I thought this was a match made in heaven. You got Deshaun Foster at UCLA, black coach who is unapologetically black. And he was the coach of UCLA, and he hired Eric Bieniemy, who was the offensive coordinator under Andy Reid for all of those years at there you go, let's charge it.
Colorado?
No. Kansas City.
At
Kansas City. And then he couldn't get a job. And he kept getting interviewed, and then he went to Washington, and then they couldn't work that out. And it's always been something. And I criticize people like LaShawn McCoy, who called him out. And I was like, come on, man. He's a black coach who deserves a head coaching opportunity. But there really weren't a lot of people that had a lot of good things to say about Eric Bieniemy.
Correct.
And this kind of, I don't know if it reiterates it, but it definitely corroborates the story of he's very difficult to work with and other things that have come out, because I didn't see a reason for them to fire him after 1 year. The 1 year?
I hate that he's very difficult to work with. Because you know who else is difficult to work with? Most football head coaches and offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. What matters is they weren't winning. Bill Belichick, notoriously one of the hardest people to get along with. But when you're winning, nobody cares. It's that simple.
Not after 1 year, though. The coach has only been there 1 year. If that's the case, you fired a coach too.
Yeah, I mean, UCLA wasn't terrible. I mean, I think that they showed some promise. So it is bad that the black coach with the black and brown staff fired the black offensive coordinator. Like Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Foster's entire boy. That's polar opposite. Deshaun Foster has done a really good job of making sure that he gave people of color an opportunity to be coordinators. So it is something there. I hope he gets to go to a place. I would like for him to,
where everybody knows your
probably
name?
thinks so too. No, where nobody knows your name. Just start over. Start fresh. This is me. And give him a shot. And maybe you have to take a step down, a step back, and go to a lower tier school, but give him a chance to just be a head coach. Let him do it. I'd much rather see him do it on his and go and lose or win on his own terms.
Would you take him out of HBCU?
You think I would?
As a head coach or as a coordinator?
Head coach. I'm not going to tell Eric Bieniemy, who used to coach Patrick Mahomes, I need you to be a coordinator here. Get away from me. I'm not doing that. At worst, I'll call Andy Reid back. Andy Reid will take him back for sure.
Yeah, him and Matt Nagy can work together. Yeah, that's
and especially that offense ain't offensing.
Well, yeah, but also the part of the reason he didn't get a head coaching job or offer is because they said that Andy Reid was really doing all the heavy lifting. And he was just there to help with the game plan, and that's it. But in-game play calling was all Andy Reid, so he didn't really make any decisions.
Hey, bro, let me come right on back. Y'all need a little bit of help, and I need a place to go to work.
Yep. Before we get to the playoffs, we're going to talk. I wanted to ask this. So, Naeem Ford was committed to Ohio State for over a year. 5-star, #1 cornerback. There's another similar story to Justice Terry, who was a Georgia lean. They've been recruiting him since 8th grade, and he was a Georgia lean. His family showed up to the signing ceremony with all Georgia apparel. They thought he was signing with Georgia, and he then signs with Texas and says it's a business decision. The NIL has totally put recruiting on the end. Naeem Ford said Phil Knight. We talked about Barstool Sports with Underwood last week. Phil Knight this week said he played a huge role, like a huge, big role in me coming to Oregon instead of Ohio State. He's going to help me make my shoe and help me release a shoe under my name.
Sure, kid.
You don't think that's going to happen?
It's not. We've all been in points in our life where we had to tell somebody something to get what we were looking for. But if Marcus Mariota didn't get a shoe, if Dylan Gabriel didn't get a shoe, who else did they have at Oregon recently that was a world beater? If Bo Nix didn't get a shoe, you are not getting a shoe, cornerback. I'm going to tell you that. What you going to do? You're going to get mad with the guy who runs Nike? Who you going to tell? Adidas?
Well, the difference is, other than Bo Nix, all them other dudes didn't have NIL. Dylan Gabriel was never going to get nothing. Like, because the way that they view Gabriel versus they view Naeem Ford is totally different.
Bro, you're not even didn't they have Christian Gonzalez?
Mm-hmm.
Just, sure. Show me the shoe. Once again, I hope that you get a shoe. And if you get it, I'll hopefully probably buy it. But show me the shoe first. I don't think it's going to happen.
Then you got Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels in some news that people were surprised about, even though I told y'all this was going to happen. If you call back last year when the NIL really got to popping off, I said, you're now not talking about negotiating with players and bringing them in for recruiting from the portal and from high school. You're also renegotiating with players that are on your team, because remember, scholarships technically are 1-year contracts. They are not 4-year contracts. They just renew them each year. So with that being said, Kansas quarterback Jalen Daniels renegotiates his quarterback and released a statement and a whole thing saying, hey, he renegotiates his NIL contract to come back to Kansas for 1 more year. This is the new norm. This is it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to renegotiate. All of these, at the end of every year, we're going to renegotiate. That's just what it is. But that goes both ways. Your NIL might not be as big if you don't produce.
Then yeah.
It is surely something. It's going to be interesting. And all this extra recruiting and all this, we got all these players. Show me on week 1. I don't want to hear nothing about we got a player till I see him on the field, because these commitments are the farthest thing from commitments.
Yeah, recruiting don't matter no more.
They're ideas. Because when Tom Brady call you, you're going to answer the phone. And when a billionaire says, I'm going to send you 10, and then Dave Portnoy say, I got another 1, things change. What y'all need to be doing is going through them alumni associations and identifying the richest person you can find. Whoever's the richest person I can contact, I need that number.
Which is why I said, and I told y'all, it happened a lot faster, but I told y'all, when it comes to NIL and money, y'all think all y'all got some money until you get to Texas. And they're going to have the most millionaires. And it's a very, it's a culture. They're all there. Like, if you're a Texas person, you are there to help Texas through and through, university, no matter what. They're a strong alumni, and they're going to spend that money. I mean, hell, they hired Matthew McConaughey because he's Matthew McConaughey. They gave Vince Young.
No. McConaughey is a Texas alum.
Yes, but they hired him because he's Matthew McConaughey. They made a job for him. Same thing they did with Vince Young.
Oh, no. Like, that's always been a thing. You're going to be an ambassador.
I couldn't think of the word. That's what I was trying to say.
Terrence J is the North Carolina A&T ambassador. P. Diddy is the Howard University ambassador.
Take that.
Oh, yeah, you were saying that a lot. apparently.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing. At this point is you do have your alumni association. It mattered before, but it matters way more now. Between your contacts and money, that's going to be how you live and or die. That's the reason Matthew McConaughey be out there with that tan leather jacket every game.
No matter the temperature. No
Oh yeah.
matter. All right. So I know this is what y'all came here for. We covered all the fluff that came out before. It was championship weekend in college football. You had basically everything was announced when it came to college football for the final playoff bracket.
This sucks.
You had
I'm sorry. I'm gonna step in here for a second. Reggie's about to tell y'all about this 12-team college football bracket reveal. It sucks. Everything that I didn't want to happen, and y'all know this is my thing. College football is the one thing that I genuinely love. As much as I love my Gators, I just love college football. And I want to tell you, it's like, I just saw some coaches talk about this selection committee of people who may or may not have any involvement in college football whatsoever making these decisions. And then the games that we got clearly let me know that you guys are making decisions and know nothing about college football.
So you had championship weekend. So the 12 teams were released. The 12-team playoff was released. Oregon State, Big Ten champion, undefeated all year, number 1 overall team, is the number 1 team in the nation. Rightfully so. So they got the number 1 overall seed. Number 2 seed, the SEC champion, Georgia Bulldogs. The SEC champion, Georgia Bulldogs, got the number 2 seed, which is the SEC champion, Georgia Bulldogs, followed by the number 3 seed, Boise State, the Power 5 representative, and the number 4 seed, Big 12 champion, Arizona State, that washed and dried Iowa State. And then, so all of them get the first round bye. And then in the first round, you have Clemson, the ACC champion, versus Texas, the SEC championship runner-up, Tennessee versus Ohio State, SMU versus Penn State, Indiana, and Notre Dame.
This is trash.
So you have a whole, you let me get it. You had a lot. So you have a whole lot of things happening here. There's a whole lot of disappointment and controversy. We'll start off with the obvious. SMU in over Alabama. SMU loses the championship to Clemson on a 56-yard walk-off game-winning field goal after SMU comes all the way back, and you end up getting them in with a 2-loss SMU team over Ohio State. Over Alabama, as well as a 1-loss Indiana team over a 2-loss Miami team. Why is this trash to you? And I'll tell you how I feel about it afterwards. Because I think we have different takes.
The reason that we expanded to 12 teams was to give teams that felt like they did not have a chance, an opportunity to compete with teams that they typically weren't given an opportunity to. So if SMU is going to play somebody, I want to see SMU in Texas. I want to see what they look like against the SEC. Y'all didn't play anybody all season, so play somebody. Clemson in Texas, we've seen enough of this. Surely seen enough of this. I would have much rather see Clemson play Penn State, Notre Dame, or Indiana. Tennessee and Ohio State. I don't want to see that either. I would rather have seen Tennessee play Notre Dame. I guess you can't do Indiana, Ohio State. And I guess you can't do Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out your logic. Where your logic with the matchups?
Because I want to see these guys who have not had to deal with anybody deal with some people in the first round. That's what I thought I was going to get. I would like to see Indiana and Tennessee, honestly. That would have been a great one for me. I would have liked to see Texas and SMU. Let's see what you can do. I would have liked to see Clemson and Penn State. And then that would have left Notre Dame and Texas. No. Notre Dame and Penn State. That would have been great. That's the perfect first round to me.
Do you know how the first round seedings are picked?
Yes, but it's just wrong.
So the first round seedings are picked by ranking. So Oregon got the number 1 seed because they're the number 1 overall team, plus they're the championship. They're the champion.
Oh yeah. I'm not talking about any of the locks. The locks are stuff.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I know that. But what I'm saying is you got UGA, who's 2, because they're the number 2 team and they're the SEC champion. You have Boise State at 3 because they're the Mountain West champion and they're undefeated. And then you have Arizona State at 4. They're the Big 12 champion who has a better record than Clemson. And I believe they're higher ranked than Clemson at 12. And Clemson at the time was 16. So
correct.
That's why you have them there. So you saying you want to see, I can't remember all the ones you said, but Tennessee and Ohio State are going to play because they're 6 and 7. So they're going to be the 8 and 9 seed. SMU is the 10 seed. This
is going to be stupid, and I'm going to tell you why. Because
it's always going to be stupid.
Notre Dame is clearly going to be Indiana. Then Notre Dame's going to play Georgia. We've seen this happen umpteen million times. Georgia beats Notre Dame. Then the next one, SMU versus Penn State. Penn State beats SMU. Then they play Boise State. Boy, that game stinks. Tennessee and Ohio State. You're going to cannibalize one of the better teams in the top 12, and then they're going to play Oregon, which is going to be a game that's too good for the quarterfinals. Then you're going to have Clemson and Texas. Texas is going to beat Clemson. Clemson is probably better than Arizona State. Texas is going to beat Arizona State. So you're going to have the 5 seed beat the 4 seed. Now that Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, slobber knocker. But SMU, Penn State, Boise,
you can't get mad at the committee. Y'all lost. Clemson got 3 losses. The only way they could get in was win the ACC.
SMU has 0 good wins, and they lost to Clemson.
But they have a better loss. The committee already set the precedent early in the season when they said that they prioritize who you lose to versus who you win in strength of schedule. When Georgia lost to Alabama on the road, on the last possession of the game, they dropped them 9 spots. 9. When they lost to Ohio State loses to Michigan, they didn't drop them as far. Like, they prioritize losing versus your strength of schedule. They will always prioritize losing versus your strength of schedule.
This is the reason that this is going to
be for this year. So you could get mad and say it needs to be tweaked next year. You could say all of those things. But for this year, for the precedent that they set, this is par for the course. Clemson has the worst resume out of all of them. The only person that would have a worse resume than them would be Alabama if they made it in. Because Alabama, y'all can't be upset at not making it when you lose to Vanderbilt. And you lose to Oklahoma, who was 4 and 6. And y'all lost 24-3. And they ain't got no quarterback.
Yeah, Alabama. And I think that, and honestly, I will give Alabama a little bit of credit. And especially Mark Ingram, because he's the person I really saw. He said, hey, we didn't control what we could control. So we put ourselves in a position to let the world control us. And at that point, whatever happens, happens.
And I ain't got no sympathy for all them criers about that. Georgia had won 3 years in a row. Not 1, not 2, 3, and we lost on a field goal in the SEC championship game to Alabama, and y'all didn't put us in last year. So all of that crying and stuff y'all doing, all these other teams crying about that bullshit, I don't care. I've been there. It is what it is. Win.
Clemson lost to Georgia, number 2 team in the country. Clemson lost to South Carolina, the number 15 team in the country, and almost in this playoff. And they lost to Louisville, who was also a top 15 team at one time. What are we saying here?
What are you referencing? Who are you referencing?
SMU.
Okay.
Clemson's better than SMU. SMU, let's be real here. Let's go from bottom to top, worst team to best team out of these 12 teams.
I mean, Boise State, Indiana, SMU.
Hold on, wait.
Clemson.
You think Boise is the worst team?
Yeah. I don't think Boise State beats any of these teams outside of a one offer.
SMU?
No. I do not.
Okay. So I think, go ahead. I'm going to let you.
Boise State, SMU, Indiana, Clemson. Oh, I'm sorry. Indiana, Arizona State, Clemson. Arizona State, Clemson, Arizona State. I think either way, but we'll say Arizona State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Tennessee. I'm sorry, Notre Dame, Penn State, Tennessee, Penn State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Oregon. That's how I got it.
Okay. So for me, SMU, 12.
Okay.
At 11, Indiana. At 10, Boise. No. Yes, Boise. At 8, Arizona State.
Who's
at
9?
7.
You said 10, 8.
Hold on, let me get my pen here and do that.
And while you do that,
12,
I mean, that's not fair because
SMU. No, I'm just saying, like,
the same thing happens in the NFL. I don't understand the same uproar. The NFC North this year is going to have 3 teams that are going to have 10 wins or more, possibly. Only 2 of them going to get in. It's part of it, but the NFC South sucks. But they're going to have a team get in. It's the same thing.
But my thing is, I don't have an issue necessarily with the 12 teams. I have an issue more with the way that the first round is. That's my biggest
part of the seeding. If Clemson if they hadn't lost 3 games, then they would be seeded higher.
That SMU, Penn State, Boise State is pissing me off.
It's tight. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
But that's good though. It's good and it's bad because somebody's gonna be able to skate all the way to the semifinal.
Think about it. SMU and Penn State both lost in the Big Ten championship and the ACC championship. So those are the runner-up, essentially, in the Big Ten and the ACC. Right? Tennessee and Ohio State didn't make it to none of it. Neither did Indiana, and Notre Dame don't play nothing. If anything, I would probably put Notre Dame to play Texas. That would be the better game because I think Texas is the runner-up to the SEC, who is arguably the hardest conference and they've only lost to literally the number 5 team twice. Like, just their only losses. So I would probably put Texas versus Notre Dame, but then you got to put Clemson, who's the worst conference champion. You got to put Clemson against the highest seed because they're the worst conference champion. And the highest seed is Texas.
You're going to have 2 teams in the first round that are going to end up in the semifinals. Texas is going to end up in the semifinals. Penn State is going to end up in the semifinals. Now,
I'm
Tennessee,
not necessarily
Ohio
sure
State,
about that.
Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, I think that's by far the hardest gauntlet to deal with.
I wouldn't even want the number 1 seed if you're going to do that to me. I got to play Tennessee or Ohio State or Texas or Clemson to get to the national championship game.
And imagine if you're like Ohio State.
Bad.
I guess you earned it.
You lost Ohio State by a field goal.
I don't feel. Yeah, but you lost to Michigan. This team
at home
threw the ball for 6
with no quarterback.
Tennessee is the team that gets jobbed. I got to play a good Ohio State team, only to then play an Oregon State team I mean, an Oregon team, not an Oregon State team. Then, if I'm only so fortunate to probably have to wrestle with Texas,
to then have to play either Penn State or Georgia or Notre Dame. Like, yeah, that top half is a gauntlet. But again, yeah, that's crazy. That top half is crazy. That's crazy.
No,
that's crazy. But that's not. It's not the committee's fault on that point. The committee went by a rubric. You got your 4. Now, you know who really throws this and who we should always blame until they get in the conference? It's Notre Dame. If y'all have to play a conference championship, then you would have put Arizona State down here and y'all would have been up here, which means you then would have had to reshuffle because Arizona State is then where Clemson is, and Clemson is then where Notre Dame is. So now you have Arizona State versus Texas, Clemson versus Indiana, or you have somewhere in there Arizona State versus Penn State, SMU versus Texas, and you get to change it around a little bit. But because Notre Dame doesn't play anybody, they didn't really play. They lost to Northern Illinois. Nobody's talking about that. That's a terrible loss. They don't have to do anything, so they automatically are. Notre Dame is forever the 7 seed. Like, they're always going to be the 7 seed forever.
Which just pisses me off because they're the same team that's always top 5 preseason. They don't play anybody.
Oh, let me jump in here real quick. Florida State.
The ranked teams that they played, Texas A&M, decent team. Louisville, decent team.
Play ACC
Army
schedule.
and Navy.
Yeah, that's it. Let me jump in here real quick.
Hold on. I got one more thing. Texas, Steve Sarkisian, you need to stomp Clemson out and stomp Arizona State out.
Yeah, he sent a message.
Ohio State, Ryan Day, you better beat Tennessee or you're fired. You probably need to beat Oregon or you're fired. Tennessee, this will be a good opportunity for you to claim some respect.
From you?
Beating Ohio.
I think they got respect already.
Not if they get put out in the first round.
So then again, this first round, that's the game of the first round then, because either one of them going to be fired. Either no respect or you fired.
Yep. SMU, Penn State. Hey, James Franklin, let me tell you this. If we don't see you in the semifinals, it's over, bro. You surely cannot lose to SMU, who's a scam. And you can't lose to Boise. You have too much pedigree. Y'all might be 6, they might be 3. There's an expectation for you to win that game. So if we don't see Penn State in the semifinals, I don't know what to say because I don't know if they get a better coach. But we're not, I hate to say it to a black coach, you're just not having respect after that. And then Notre Dame, you for sure better not lose to Cincinnati. And then Georgia,
we got to out. We ain't got no quarterback. That's our out. It don't matter.
It's Notre Dame, bro. Like, it is. I hate that out. I mean, it's not really an out. They're not on fire Kirby anyway. No matter what happens, Kirby is coming back
forever.
But
won 2 national championships.
Yeah.
Ain't never leaving.
Kirby is good.
You got to go to the pros, big dog.
Somebody gonna get fired. Something gonna happen around there.
Okay. So let me jump in here. Because I want to address the group of people who tried to play this card that didn't work. Florida State. Y'all trying to say because Carson Beck is hurt that Georgia doesn't deserve to be in the playoff because that happened to y'all last year?
Different game, different rules.
It's stupid. Y'all play in the ACC. Y'all struggled through the ACC. Georgia, a 2-loss team, lost to Alabama, who, for all intents and purposes, according to just about everybody, feels like they should be in. And they lost to Ole Miss on the road. They also won the SEC, which is the hardest conference. They also beat the ACC champion. Correct? They also beat Tennessee. They also beat Texas. Georgia has played 3 of the top 12 teams in this bracket and beat all of them. So all of that stuff y'all trying to say about Florida State don't matter, bruh. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. And I'm going to put this here to y'all in y'all ear hole today. If Georgia would have played Florida State last year, we saw it. It was 63-3. But if they would have played them full strength in the playoffs, it may not have been 63-3, but it would have been 35-20. That Georgia defense, we can see they can coach. They can coach defense. And I don't know if you guys would have beat them. So y'all can pipe down. Alabama, it is what it is. You shouldn't have lost to Vanderbilt. You shouldn't have lost to Vanderbilt. You shouldn't have lost. Really, the Vanderbilt loss didn't hurt you as bad as y'all claiming. It's the loss to Oklahoma. That Oklahoma loss was devastating.
But this is the thing. I don't really love that. I think the Vanderbilt Indiana is surely a game. I think the Vanderbilt SMU surely a game.
It's unfortunate.
I think that Oklahoma and Indiana surely a game. I think that Oklahoma SMU surely a game.
Nothing
the
you can do about
schedule
that.
Part sucks. That's where it's off. It's just wrong.
Now, one more point too. But go ahead.
Hold on. Florida State, you guys being mad.
Don't care.
Sure, you can be mad, but like I said, it's a different game with different rules. Those were the rules last year. It was always known the injuries take into account when it comes to rankings. It's a different situation. It's a 12 team instead of 14. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the same way that players who graduated the year before NIL started weren't able to get paid. It's just life.
What was I about to say? I missed it. I started doing something else. Oregon, Penn State, Georgia, Boise State is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, you said Vanderbilt and all of them would have been. It doesn't matter. Oh, that's my point. This is my point. I've read also that people were saying from Alabama and anybody that didn't get in, Miami too, there's no point in scheduling non-conference top 25 opponents anymore. That's idiotic.
I disagree with that.
That's idiotic. Here's why.
How?
Number one, before we even address that, y'all lost a conference. All y'all losses were conference losses. Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. Those are all conference losses. So y'all basing that argument is stupid. But number two, not scheduling top 25 out of conference games only benefits the SEC. It only benefits the SEC because the SEC is viewed as being superior. The only way that you would assume that Oregon or Ohio State or Clemson is good or is bad as a measuring stick is to play out of conference games. If you're not going to play out of conference games and play against those teams, you might as well just make it the SEC Invitational. You might as well do that because nobody's going to respect Clemson if they don't play out of conference games. Also, nobody's going to respect it. Let's say Bama does schedule a top 25 out of conference game. Let me tell you, let's look at Bama's schedule this year real quick. I just want to do that real quick.
If I'm in the SEC, I'm not adding anybody. I'm playing any games that are non-conference games. I'm playing the worst teams I can play.
Here's the thing. Bama did. You want to know who their out of conference schedule was? Western Kentucky, South Florida, Wisconsin.
That's not
Mercer.
I'm not. Yes.
Those are your out of conference games. So y'all ain't scheduled nobody anyway.
Take Wisconsin off my schedule.
For what?
I mean, the risk of possibly having to play a team that's good. Say what you want to talk about Wisconsin. In the last 20 years, they had 3 of the top 20 running backs. Nope, I'm not risking it no more. No, don't ask me nothing.
But they were 3-6 in the Big Ten. 3-6. No, you didn't schedule nobody anyway, Alabama. How are y'all talking about our non-conference and we not going to schedule nobody? You ain't scheduled nobody.
Hey, send me Kennesaw.
That's fine. If you do that, then that takes away your margin of error. You can't win. It's a lose-lose situation. If you don't schedule anybody and then you lose to Ole Miss like y'all do every other year, or you lose to LSU, that's just a loss. It don't help you no more. You're done.
Send me.
The reason Georgia was going to get in regardless, even if they won the SEC championship or not, is because they beat Clemson. That's part of the reason that they were in.
I'm cool with I understand what you're saying, but me, never again. Never again. I'm looking for cupcakes individually wrapped.
Miami, I know y'all are upset. So y'all.
That's your fault.
It's your fault. You lost to Georgia Tech and Syracuse. Shout out to Syracuse, Fran Brown. It's your fault. You shouldn't have lost. You shouldn't have lost. There was really, y'all should have made it. If everybody handled their business, the team that probably wouldn't have made it as a conference champion or would have been close to the end is Arizona State, because they beat Iowa State. Them being number 4 is a travesty, and that's on all these teams right here. Nope. All this first round, that's y'all fault.
I'm hoping that Texas does what they need to do against Clemson, and I hope that they that's what I want to see. Texas, Arizona State. Here you go. You 4. You play Texas at 5. If I'm Texas, I'm doing my best job to end their recruiting. I want to beat you so bad that people start decommitting like they did at Florida State. That's what I'm looking for now. Because that's the new thing is you get stomped out in these games, these kids are going to decommit. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to break whole teams. I want to break a program.
Well,
that's the reason that I wanted to see SMU play Texas. Come on. You spent that $100 million. Now play somebody.
You say all of that, but what happens if Clemson beats Texas? That throws a monkey wrench in everything you just said. Now you got Clemson versus Arizona State, and Arizona State can beat Clemson.
Not really. Dabo, no, they can't. No, they can't. Hey, Dabo, you lose to Arizona State.
Dabo won the ACC and made it to the quarterfinals.
Lose to Arizona State and think the people gonna remember that.
Didn't he just lose? He been losing to a bunch of people.
Not Arizona State.
Arizona State was picked worse. They were picked to finish last. They were picked to finish 16th. They're not even on the graphic. That's how bad. I got to scroll down. They're at the bottom. They were picked to finish 16.
I mean, this is just kind of look at where Colorado ended. Look where BYU ended. Look where Arizona State ended. Yeah, y'all might have missed this media, but hey, whatever it is, this is beat. We're gonna see what this looks like, and I am thrilled about it. Let's look at these conference champions real quick.
Who are we looking at? I mean, I don't know what you got. So Georgia is Arizona State worst to first. They won the Big 12. Cam Scatterboo had a hell of a game. He played out of his mind. They basically gave him the ball and played defense. Is pretty much how they play. And they have a running quarterback, which is why I'm saying they could be an issue.
Show me.
Then you have Georgia, who has now lost. Carson Beck finally wasn't doing stupid stuff. And then the coach goes and calls a Hail Mary at the 50 when the score is 6-3. And he ends up getting a UCL injury, which is like basically pitcher's elbow. And he ends up getting hurt. So now he's out, as well as the punter who had a non-contact injury. I don't even know how that happened.
In non-kicking leg.
But he's out for the year, which means he was one of the best punters in the nation. But he's out for the season. So Georgia, what's quickly happening about this college football playoff, which I told y'all was going to happen all throughout the season. I kept saying this word and it kind of floated by a lot of times. We kind of skipped past it. But this is a war of attrition. This ain't really the 12 best teams for real. This is just a war of attrition. Georgia, luckily we got Gunnar Stockton, who is a hometown hero. He was never going to transfer because he always from Rabun County, Georgia. He just wanted to go to UGA. Pop Tiger, Georgia, and Rabun County. population 593 because he's at school. It was 594 before he left.
All related.
Yeah. Seventh cousins getting married. But that it's the truth. But so Georgia's hurt. You got the war of attrition. Quietly is kept. Tennessee got beat up the last couple games. Even though they played Vanderbilt, they got beat up. And then Ohio State I don't know if they got a heart or not. I don't know what's happening out there. They are devastated.
Is there a heart in the house tonight? It's finna get real. Tennessee and Ohio State, they got a raw deal. I definitely think that they deserved the SMU and Indiana treatment in the first round.
I would have put Notre Dame against Ohio State and probably SMU versus Indiana. That way you keep it being interconference. Because if you switch it, it's just going to be Penn State, Ohio State again, or Indiana, Ohio State again. That's the only way you can do it.
I guess, man. I'm still disappointed, but it is what it is.
Also, Signetti, it's not gonna work. Quit crying. Signetti talking about because our name is Indiana and not Michigan, we're ninth. No, you are ninth because you are not better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8.
You're 11 out of 12
or 9.
Keep it a buck, bro.
You're 10th. Or you're not better than, you're not the best. And you ain't played nobody. You lucky you in there.
That's the reason I am excited. Because they going to get whooped or get whooped. If you do beat Notre Dame,
Georgia going to beat y'all to death.
Georgia going to monkey stomp. Best thing you can do is have a close game against Notre Dame and lose. You get to Georgia?
Yeah.
I don't care who they got a quarterback.
Because I didn't know. I didn't know.
John Stockton.
Gunner, don't matter. I didn't know. I knew the defense was good.
Hide the Bible if God watches.
They was beating the crap out of Texas. When Dan Jackson hit that receiver over the middle, I said, oh, okay. So this is what we do. Georgia, I told y'all, I made a very, very good, astute observation about Georgia. They brought back Will Muschamp. That's number one. They brought back Muschamp. He was an analyst, and he was leaving to go coach his sons. Not coach, but go watch his sons. His son is at one of them schools. I think he was at South Carolina. Because his oldest son played at transferred to UGA. His youngest son is at South Carolina. So he went to go watch him play and practice and help him out. So he was an analyst. So he basically got to come and go as he pleases. But the smart thing about making him an analyst is you can bring him back during the playoffs. And guess what his first game back was? The SEC championship. Guess what his last game was before he left? The game against Texas. So he came back and Georgia's defense looked amazing. He left. They gave up 45 points.
Contractor.
Nope. He's not.
I ain't even come to work today, boss.
So now he's back but he played with Kirby. So did Bobo. So now he's back as an on-field analyst role. Basically, he's a coach. He's a defensive coach. He comes up with the game plan. They got Tavares Robinson, and he is the succession plan for when Glenn Schumann gets hired somewhere else, because he's not going to be there next. He can't. But that's the first thing. The second thing I noticed about Georgia, I told my dad, I said Dan Jackson and Chaz Chambliss are really, and Cash Jones on offense are really, really, really good morale guys. They ain't the best. But when push come to shove and them teams get to that 30-yard line, who be in there? Us. He be putting all of us in there. It'd be all, they were like, oh, they brought in all, this is the Tiger package, the Rush package. I'd be like, it's a lot of black folks out there. All the walk-ons ain't out there no more. When we get tight.
No, this is the rubber and the road. They're meeting now. Not now, right now. Hey, we done playing.
Ooh, but this gonna be fun though. This show gonna be fun for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna say, y'all better not let Georgia win with a backup quarterback that ain't played in 3 years.
Against who?
Oregon got job. Oregon got job. Oregon should be where Georgia is, and Georgia should be where Oregon is. Georgia should have the tougher road as the number 2 versus the number 1.
Oregon should be where Boise is.
Or Georgia. Either way. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think Oregon beats all 4 of those teams, 5 of those teams.
Fair.
But to have to play Ohio State, Clemson, or Texas, or Tennessee in back-to-back weeks, and then possibly have to play Georgia or Notre Dame, I mean, you gonna earn it, and it does eliminate the controversy. Final thoughts. With that being said, y'all there's a meme going around that went around when Trump got elected the first time that said, it was George Bush Jr. said, I don't look so bad as a president now, do I? Right? You know what the meme, and I'm going to create it. Don't y'all steal it. If you steal it, I'm going to throw egg at your door. The BCS is sitting there looking at this 12-team playoff like, y'all hated on me all the time, but I took into the account strength of schedule. I took into the account margin of victory. I took into the account rankings. I took into the account conference championships. It took all of those into the account, and it spit out the BCS championship. Don't look so bad now, does it?
Don't talk to me. If you don't want me, then don't talk to me. Go ahead and free yourself, in the words of Fantasia.
Y'all said y'all didn't want me. Now y'all up here begging, talking about Alabama should be in because of strength of schedule. Well, we had a system that took strength of schedule, and y'all said y'all didn't want it no more. That was y'all said. So this is the shit that you got to live in. It is what it is. With that being said, y'all, I'm going to go get another beer. Go ahead. I'm going to go get another beer.
No, you're right. Thoughts and prayers.
I'm going to get another beer. We got to get to the NFL. We're not going to talk about a lot. There's some drama in Philly, drama in Atlanta.
No, we really just talking about Atlanta. The rest of that.
And then we're going to get to some Hawks talk. That's going to be our brighter day. Brighter day. Because we ain't got nothing else.
About that.
Football ain't it. Football ain't it for the pros. We be back. Y'all go get a beverage. You tuning in. At least we're not going to be here till 3 a.m. like we were last week. Y'all stay.
5 in the morning. Now I'm up having conversations with you. That was an edit. That was a quick edit, boy. You gone.
We'll be right back. Y'all stay tuned.
Until next time. What should they do? Like, follow, subscribe. Thank you, my friend. Be here for it.